say hi to the camera.
Hello.
Bonjour.
Hello.
I don't think so. I think for the most part, the only pressure that we usually, put on each other is, amongst the band to, try to create the best record we possibly can. All the accolades that come if your record does well are nice, but that's definitely not a main motivation to why we play music. We just really enjoy, the chemistry and dynamic between the four of us, and just try to write good songs, and hopefully that people will enjoy.
After we finished touring, we took about a month off and then just started getting into the rehearsal hall and getting together as much as we can and work on songs. We had about 90% of it finished by the time we got into the studio, so there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened while we were there, and it was just a really fast process. In the beginning, we were going to have Ian actually produce the record because he did a really great job at co-producing our last record.
Yeah.
And then kind of at the last moment, the powers that be asked us if we could just throw out some names of people we would love to work with. Brandon O'Brien was pretty much on the top of the list.
Yeah.
Within a couple weeks, he got in touch with us and said that he wanted to actually work on our album. So we were kind of blown away by that, and he had ended up flying up to Toronto and working with us on some of the songs. He was there for about a week. Then we kind of honed every song into as best as we could be and flew out to Los Angeles and began recording with him, and it took 40 days from start to finish to complete this record.
Before we had found out we were working with Brendan O'Brien, the songs were taking on kind of a more rock feel towards, or the writing was just heading in that direction anyway. Probably just naturally from growing up and exploring other influences and stuff like that. The first two records were more punk rock influenced than this one, but when we started our band, it was in 1993, and that was when grunge music was probably at its most popular, and we were into bands like Pearl Jam and Nirvana, Soundgarden, and those types of things. And they influenced us heavily back then, and we kind of got away from that as we got older. And I think when we found out we were going to be working with Brendan O'Brien, it also kind of inspired us to stay on that road because it was feeling really good, and he would be the best. He would be the best guy to make that as great as it could be. So. What we did, and it was different than what we did on our other two records, is the band set up in the room and played together when we were recording the drums. And that's something we hadn't done before. And so everything has more of a live dynamic because of that.
Yeah.
So most of the bass is stuff from the live sessions, and all the drums are from the live sessions, and even some of the guitar. So it was a different, more, I guess, for lack of a better term, an organic process than we had done on our previous two records.
Shoulder is more or less lyrically, it's like a blues song about someone that I'm a firm believer that what the energy you put out, you get back to you. So if you're positive and you treat people well and you put out good energy, then it hopefully will come back to you.
Yeah.
And this song is more or less written about loosely around an individual that we know that is really negative and always always seems to make bad decisions at really important times. And so the devil on the shoulder is kind of his inner psyche always telling him to do something that's wrong. Ian was reading a book called Veronica Decides to Die by Paula Paula, who wrote The Alchemist and different books, Warrior of the Light and things like that. And we're big fans of The Alchemist. And so Ian and I, when we were working on the lyrics, we were talking about he told me the premise of this book, and it was really interesting. So we kind of loosely based it around this girl that decides to take her own life, and by doing so, she fails in her attempt, and then she gets another chance at life, and she realizes that she was so foolish for trying to kill herself, because there's so much more to life, and it's a beautiful thing if you work hard enough at it. So it's a hopeful song in a weird way. Sudden Movements is about how the media has a terrible way of creating fear and invoking fear. There's always bad news in the news. There's always something that you have to be worried about, or there's some political crisis or war, or an outbreak of some weird disease. So that song's written about a guy that feels like he's being watched, and he's becoming, really paranoid. And he decides to keep all his family in the basement of this house and keep a gun at the door to protect his little house. So, yeah. So lock your children in the basement. Keep a rifle by the door. Don't be afraid of my intentions, 'cause I'm more afraid of you.
Well, I thank you very much for your time and your kindness.
You're welcome.